Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about the summary of To All My Sons written by Arthur Miller. See students, let's first understand this as a kind of a movie. When you understand how the story begins and what is the main thing in the story, okay, what is the main purpose of the story and how the story ends, then it is very easy for you to imagine that story and to write as it is. So in this story, the story begins that there has been a storm last night, and now the Jim Baileys, who is a doctor, who is a neighbor friend of Joe Keller. Joe Keller is the main character of this story, and he is the head of the Keller family. And Joe is a successful businessman. Now Jim Baileys and Joe Keller are sitting in the backyard of the Keller house and they are reading the newspaper. And Jim Baileys noticed the tree, apple tree, okay, which is a slender apple tree which has been planted in the memory of the elder son of Joe Keller, who is Larry Keller, who has been missing from the World War II. Okay, so all this story is about after the post World War II. Okay, and it is just a 24-hour period, and it is the 25th of August when this storm actually happened. Okay, and it was Larry's birthday. Now what happens? Jim and now Joe Keller's wife, who is Kate Keller, she's still thinking that Larry is still living somewhere. He can be come back alive any day. She never think that he is dead. Now Frank Lube, who is another labor of Keller, and along with his wife, who is Lydia Lube, and Frank Lube is actually a amateur astrologer. Okay, he is studying about the horoscope, and Frank Lube believes that when Larry got missing, if the date, it was his birthday, which was 25, and he is studying the horoscope of Larry. If that numerology, that number is favorable to Larry, then it is sure that Larry is not dead. Okay. Likewise, he is studying about the horoscope, but Jim Baileys does not believe on that astrology, and but Joe Keller is happy that Larry still remembers his birthday, and he's still studying about his horoscope and trying to sort out whether he is dead or alive. But Chris believed that it has almost been 3 years, so he was doubting whether Larry is really going to come back or what. But Kate is still in the belief that any day that Larry can come back. After that, Annie has arrived. Annie is actually Larry's girlfriend, and she has not moved on in her life. She has not got married, as his father got jailed because of a incident. After an incident, when his father got imprisoned, Annie moved to New York. She completely left this city. Actually, she was living in where the Frank and Lydia Lube are living in present. That home was belonged to Annie. When they left the city, now Frank, which is being occupied by Frank and Lydia Lube. Okay, and Kate wants Annie to still mourn for Larry. And Kate still believes that Annie is still mourning for Larry, because there are lots of men in New York, but still she has not moved on in her life. After this, the story it's come about Steve and Joe, because they both are business partner. Anne's father, Steve, is a business partner of Joe Keller, and there was a faulty cylinder which has been dispatched to the American Army, okay, American Aircraft Army, Air Force, which was being Steve dispatched that time. Joe Keller was absent, but Steve did it with the consent of Joe Keller as well. which led, okay, this incident, that faulty cylinder, cracked cylinder was being covered, and it was being dispatched to the American government, American Air Force, which led to the death of 21 pilots in a plane crash. So when they found out that defective gas cylinder, because of that Steve went to jail, and Joe was released because he was absent that day, because he was in fever, so he got absent that day. But he gave the consent to Joe. He was not alone. Steve was not alone. He gave his consent to dispatch. After then, Steve dispatched, but all the problem, all the accusation lied on Steve, and Joe somehow released and started earning well and started creating more reputation and more business fortune for himself and for his family. After this, now Kate and Joe are worried because Annie has come. It means again they are refreshing all the moments which happened, all the memories which passed. Okay, so Joe is still guilty. Okay, Joe is guilty whether she has come to stir up the trouble in the Keller family or what. But actually Chris has invited the the younger son of Joe Keller. Chris has invited Annie because Chris wants to get married to Annie. Even Annie has moved on in life. She also wants to get married to Chris, but Kate wants that Larry is just missing, he's not dead, and Annie has to mourn for Larry and has to wait for Larry, and Chris should not marry Larry's girl. After this, Annie, when she is there in home, she get a call of his brother, who is George, and George is a law student and he has his own law office. Okay, and George still pity for his dad because he has to be pardoned after 1 year, but he was not able to be pardoned, and still he's spending 3 years in jail. George calls to Annie that he's coming to Keller's house to meet Annie, and he wants to meet Joe Keller as well. So this makes Joe and Kate, who is wife Kate, they both are worried. All in sudden Annie has arrived. All in sudden George want to come. So what is the reason? What can be the reason? Whether George has come to know what really happened in those incident during the World War II, what happened, might be George has come to know the reality. The real thing is that when Annie was coming to America to meet Chris, on that time Annie informed to George, brother George, that she wants to get married to Chris, to which George went to Columbus where Steve is being imprisoned. And on that time Steve informed to him all the story which really happened with Joe and Steve, the cylinder incident which led to the death of 21 American pilots. After that George returned to Annie. Okay, he came to Annie, and that was a dinner night. When what happens in the dinner night, when they were sitting, George, in a very kind manner, with a lot of generosity, he as a very kind gesture, he see to Joe Keller and ask, "You look very fit and fine." To which wife of Joe, Kate, she says that he has never fallen ill for 15 years. To which George wanted to rectify it, that he had fever during the cylinder incident. To which Kate and Joe, they got petrified and said, yes, sorry, we forgot, and tried to put back the words on track. But that time George became so suspicious about them that he left. Okay, and he didn't wanted to argue, he just left. But when he left, Joe confessed that what in all George said, that it was with my consent also that Steve Deaver dispatched the gas cylinder. Okay, so with my consent itself, Steve Deaver dispatched the cylinder. He confessed that what and all George said was true. After this, Chris Keller got so devastated that his father was also involved in the murder of 21 pilots. After this, what happened? Joe, Joe, after he confessed, George leaves. Okay, George leaves to retain distance. Okay, he wanted to just get back from that. He just moved, and because all the blame went on to his father, and his father is spending his time in jail. He's not the only person responsible, and Joe is living a very good life out of jail. And Joe, after the Joe confession, Chris just took the car and he just drove away somewhere, and Kate and Joe were weeping in the house, worrying about Chris. Now Chris is upset, okay, because he feel that father also involved in the production of that cylinder, that faulty cylinders, cracked cylinders. So he, and because of that, alone Steve is in jail, but Joe lied and released and started his business more successfully and started creating more good name for his business and for himself. After this, Annie brings Larry's letter. Okay, Annie brings Larry's letter, and Kate reads out. There is nothing what is the letter is being written that has been not shown. Only that Kate reads the letter and she starts crying loudly. Because after this, when Chris come back, for the whole night he was out, he was weeping, he was devastated, he was upset because of whatever his father did. When he came back, he saw the letter, and he, on that time, Joe heard the letter, that even this, what Joe was thinking, that Larry would have been understood father very well, because Larry will never give such kind of reaction how Chris has given. Larry would have understood that what and all Joe has done is to for the betterment of the family of Keller family itself, for the to create more wealth for Keller family. But the thing is that Joe thought that Larry would be able to understand his father's intention, which Chris is not able to understand. Like that he was thinking. But when Larry came to know that even there was the involvement of his father was also there, because of that it led to the death of 21 pilots, he was also got more upset than Chris, and he did the suicide with the same jet. He wantedly took the jet to near to the sea, and it got crashed. So he has written the letter that he is going to do the suicide because of his father. And Joe heard about the letter, and Joe heard that he did the suicide because of his father. On that time he realized what kind of a responsibility he failed to fulfill, not only for his family but for a society. On that time he confessed, okay, I'm ready to go to jail, I'm ready to do anything to make you happy, I'll give off all my earnings of my lifetime earnings, everything I'll give it back, I will just give off as a charity or something like vice. Joe says. After that, when Joe realized that even he is responsible for the death of 21 pilots along with his own son's death, then he realized that I have failed my responsibility as to society. In the greed of wealth, in the greed of creating wealth, I have failed to recognize my responsibility in the family and even in the society. Then after that he just goes up informing to Chris that just get ready and fresh up, I'm ready to go and surrender myself, so let's go to jail. Likewise he's ready to surrender, so he says to get freshen up, and he goes upward, and all in sudden a gunshot is being heard and Joe kills himself. Chris is more upset now because Chris never wanted his father to suicide, to get kill himself, to which Chris said that he never wanted his father to to be killed, to which Kate said that try to go somewhere else and start a new life, try to do a new job in Cleveland and settle yourself with Annie, and let's try to have a new life. And after that, Kate also is ready to live a life. She's preparing herself to live a life without Joe, without Larry, and even without Chris and Annie, as they are going to live far. And after this, the story ends. If you found this video helpful, do like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.